So, hello, fellow Earthlings. This is Earthling 6455463728. And is Bill Gates the Messiah? The one who was promised to come and save us from our sins? I'll get into that in a moment. I am, of course, Earthling 64 yada yada yada, and I am not the Messiah. I'm certainly not the voice calling in the wilderness. If I am, I'm a cricket in the wilderness because nobody is hearing me. I have a master's in business administration, a computer science degree, a background in the Army Reserves. At this time, I've lost 85 pounds from my highest measured weight. I've traveled quite a bit, more than I ever thought I would at this age. And that's me. I have to try and keep that to a minimum. So is Bill Gates the Messiah? Well, prior to this pandemic, I think many, many people would have seen Bill Gates as an exemplary figure. That's partly because money is what we pursue. That is the thing that we look to and say, hey, he who has the most money must be the best person. That is one way that many of us judge success. If we look around at the people that we were in high school with, or elementary school, or university, whoever is the richest, most well-known, successful person, usually measured from the amount of money that person can flaunt in terms of where they live, in terms of the house that they live in, the kind of car that they drive. That person is considered to really be the best person. We're not in their house when the doors are closed. So we don't see anything but what can be seen. And by most measures, that's what we would see. We would see the wealth. And I'm talking about Messiah. The thing about the Messiah, about Jesus Christ, the only Messiah that most people would have heard of, I guess, is Muhammad. Muhammad would not be considered a Messiah. I don't think that Muslims believe in a Messiah per se. But, I would imagine that if you heard about a guy who was going around doing miracles, and you are just an ordinary poor person, you would probably look to that person and say, yeah, that guy's a prophet. That guy is out there and he's doing his thing. I mean, of course, there would be wealthier people in that time, but most people could not aspire to that. Most people could not come from nothing and become, King Herod or something like that. That was something so for most people, this self-made person, in terms of the success that could be achieved from somebody from the lower classes rising up, would be in terms of fame, in terms of people looking at you and being able to recognize, if not the face, because there are no cameras, but the reputation. And from that perspective, I think there is a similarity that one might suggest is possible to be seen between Jesus Christ and Bill Gates. Yes, Bill Gates came from a wealthy enough family. As far as I know, fishermen, as a perspective. I don't know where carpenters would have lied in the strata of society, from poor or so. But clearly, with that whole thing with the manger, Jesus and his mother and father quote in quotes, would not have come from much means. But I think similarly, just like Jesus, and there's a saying that, as far as I know, is a recent one, which is, if you stick around for long enough, you get to see yourself become the bad guy. I don't know. I think that's, bad guy. That's probably not 100-year-old saying. But that's exactly what seems to have happened both to Jesus and to Bill Gates. This would have seemed to been a time where Jesus would have been untouchable. Nobody would have thought, in terms of the Pharisees and all of these people trying to get him. It would have been a time when, you can't come for him. Nobody is going to allow you to do that. And there would have been a time when, likewise, Bill Gates would have been, the king of the hill, as they say. He would have been the thing that everybody could say, you see that? You see Bill Gates? He doesn't come from a billionaire family. He came from, yes, a wealthy family. Not many of us would have known that too much. But, being one of the richest people, I have to say, when I was a kid, it was in my head that, I can be a billionaire too. I'll give myself a certain amount of time, and I'll make $1 million, and I'll make another, and then I'll be a billionaire, and it'll all happen. Of course, I was crazy. Not crazy, but lacking in information. Now life is a lot clearer, so I can see. But there would have been a time when all of us would have looked up to Bill Gates, especially for the decades where he was the richest man in the world. Between him and Warren Buffett, and I think Carlos Slim slipped in there for a short period of time, and then it was back to Bill Gates. And one of the things that we would not really have understood, and I still don't 100% understand it myself, but Bill Gates, one of the reasons why he was not richer than Jeff Bezos, and again, if we're using that as some kind of morality meter, for most of us who are not in business, if we're using money as some sort of morality meter, then he would have been the best of the best. One of the reasons why he wasn't the richest is because he is no longer holding Microsoft shares. That's one reason. I think he has a very, very small, maybe 1 or 2% of his money, or maybe 1 or 2% of Microsoft stock he still has. So if he actually had held on to that, he would probably have continued to be the richest man in the world. The other factor as well is that he has given away billions and billions of dollars. One could suggest selflessly, but obviously, it's not going to hurt his standard of living at all. I mean, what is the difference between having 1 billion and 100 billion in terms of everyday life? I mean, what kind of consumables are you using that would use up $1 billion in less than 60 years or something? I don't know. But, so he is selflessly, like a messiah, giving away oodles and oodles of cash, as well as he has stepped away from having much to do with Microsoft at all. So he's no longer a businessman. He's a philanthropist. And he has, to the extent that we are aware of, devoted his life since leaving being the CEO of Microsoft and the chairman of being Microsoft. I think he no longer even is the chairman of it, and has devoted his life to trying to preserve our species, or at least preventing our species from meeting a catastrophic, if not end, at least incurring catastrophic losses of life, etc. And I would suggest that just like the Messiah, he is being crucified, not in any real way that affects him personally on a personal level, but and I guess part of it, I don't know if he does or he doesn't, but if anybody, I don't know where he would get access. I guess all you have to do is Google, or go on YouTube and look up Bill Gates, and you're gonna find as much stuff as you want to find about all of the horrible conspiracy theories about him. So it could be a very easy thing for him to just completely scout out and find out about every last theory. I mean, it's on his phone, easy enough for him to find out. It could be anywhere that he, in a quiet period of time, when he's trying to feel sorry for himself, he could just look up all of this junk. And just like the Messiah, of course, in a first world country, being a billionaire in a first world country, those kind of things are like first world problems. You have however many mansions, wherever around the world that you are. You have however many, maybe yachts or boats. You can have any kind of food that you want anytime. Michael Jackson style, you could have your own zoo. You could have your own amusement park. You could rent out an amusement park or a theme park anytime you wanted to. So clearly, there's going to be a difference, a major difference between Bill Gates and Jesus, at least the Jesus that we know as the Messiah. But in terms of a persistence in trying to get us out of this as much as a human can, somebody who is not using their position to continue to make more money in spite of what the conspiracy theorists would say, somebody who's a part of the Giving Pledge, who has signed up to give away most of their money after they're dead. I can't remember the specifics of Bill Gates. I know for the guy from Facebook, they want to give away most of their money before they're dead. But we have to be pretty honest. We have never seen somebody like a Bill Gates. I can't compare him to anybody else that I know of. Maybe I've heard of this guy Carnegie, or maybe Nobel, after coming up with dynamite, which was responsible for so much carnage in various world wars. He went on to have the Nobel Prize. But I personally, maybe, I don't know of anybody. I mean, if you look at somebody like Warren Buffett is 80 something, if not 90 years old, and he's still piling up money. He still goes to work every day, pointlessly piling up money. That's what he's doing. If we look at somebody like Carlos Slim, who is momentarily the richest man in the world, still at it. I mean, we can see somebody like Elon Musk. Elon is clearly doing things that one could say are intended to help our species, But, on the one hand, you have electric cars, which really, really great stuff. But the whole idea is not to electrify used cars. It's for everybody to go out and buy new electric cars. So there's that, which most people would say, really? You expect people to keep using used cars? Well, that's part of our problem. We're a consumer society that's consuming more and more. So it's all well and good that you are at least going to change the type of cars that we're using, but you still want people. I mean, he is not into people repairing their Teslas, okay? And then really, if we want to be explicit, on the con side of everything that Elon Musk is doing is SpaceX. Every single rocket takeoff, I don't know if it's going to be somebody will. I'm pretty sure that when it's Elon Musk's turn to be raked over the coals like Bill Gates is, people will be looking at the climate change costs of every one of his rocket launches. And I am sure it is enormous, especially if you want to put 60,000 satellites in space. I think far and away and above any and everything that he has done to save the planet with respect to solar power and Solar City, and with respect to Tesla, SpaceX has probably done an order of magnitude times in terms of detrimental effects with respect to all those rocket ship launches. But anyway, hopefully, if we follow the hype curve, hopefully Bill Gates will find himself in a more pleasant position with respect to our assessment of him. And that's it for me. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment, share, disagree, any of the things that you would want somebody to do if this were your piece. Have a good one. Peace.